Today, Precarious plays
Metroid Prime. Oh. Spunky little Metroid. Okay. Oof. I saw something. I keep trying to push it out of my mind, and I am just doing a poor job. Okay, that time it worked great, right? Mm-hmm. I was in midair.
Swing,
yeah, see how the image fades?
Yeah.
I think that one was just too far away.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's so satisfying.
And you can go side to side with it. Now, can you stop your momentum? I don't think you can stop your momentum though. I think you always keep swinging.
I just like the feeling of swinging. There's something about having all of the organs in your body swish from one side to another.
When you say it like that, it sounds a little dirty.
Well, I mean, that's what's happening.
Oopsie.
Well, I mean, you can take it. Look how many energy tanks you have.
Almost all of them.
NRGs.
There's something that I've been trying to push out of my mind, and I can't, and I hate it. High impact crater. You know how I've wanted VR since I was a child?
Yes.
And you know how, like, we're right on the brink of commercially available
like, really
VR?
good.
I mean, well, to be perfectly honest, I wanted the holodeck, but...
But, you know, you'll settle for, like, a headset.
Yeah, to start. It'll be fine for now.
What is it? No.
What?
I'm...
No, my thing is depressing. Let's talk about your thing as long as we can.
I'm just grasp. Really? Is it that depressing?
Yeah.
No, okay. My thing is, I know that there is already a program or game. I don't know. I would call it a program.
Is it Tilt Brush?
Yeah, it's definitely got to be Tilt Brush. The thing that lets you paint in three-dimensional space.
Yes.
Oh my god, I almost cried when I saw that for the first time. And I was just like, I gotta get in there. I gotta get in there. I need in. Because that is one thing. That is one of those things where I can't quite do it in 3D. There are 3D printer pens that let you somewhat do that in real life, but certainly not to the extent you can do it in VR. And I just find that type of shit so fascinating. Like, when I feel like painting, most of the time I either want to paint something very small or very large, like a mural. And the idea of feeling like I'm standing in a space where I can basically conjure anything that I can draw or sculpt with more or less endless materials, and not in the same, like, not in the more limited way that Minecraft does it. Like, I just feel like it would be so relaxing. It's like I want to go to there, you know?
Yeah.
I would just love it.
It looks like one of the first major commercial VR products is going to be the VR edition of Resident Evil 7. And I tried watching it, and how to put this gently without it turning into a lie. I imagine the first time someone was presented with a hammer, I imagine the reaction to be like, wow, pounding stakes in will be much easier with this thing around. And then just watching in just horror as somebody picked it up and then beat their neighbor to death with it. It's that. I look at this thing that I've waited for, and I'm like, you're using it for that? No, don't do that.
That's wrong. What bothers you so much?
Well, I watched watched somebody play it because I was interested in seeing if like the execution was okay, right?
Yeah.
Because it's
It's
new again. Having to like come up with designs is a new thing again.
time for innovation. Innovation is generally a good thing and brings about all kinds of extra weird.
Yeah, because people are having to invent crazy new things. So, for example, someone has figured out that if you put like a cage of some sort, like a grounding point, even if it's just clearly like a construct, just like simple white lines in a sphere around someone's head, it helps acclimate them to virtual reality. And that's just that somebody just had to invent that, the same way that somebody, whenever 3D games were new, they had to, like Nintendo introduced Lakitu in Super Mario 64 to explain the camera.
Yeah. And people will be pointing to that for years.
Yeah.
Going, look, Lakitu, this is what we had to do to explain what a 3D camera does. You have to know that you're in the camera's perspective. They had him fluffing around on a cloud filming everything because of that. Yay! See, this is what I'm talking about.
The grapple to grapple.
Yes. It's so fun. It's so
Magmar
fun.
Caverns, when am I supposed to get here?
Well, so what's the problem? I mean, was it at least like a Resident Evil game?
It is a Resident Evil game in the style of the older ones, but it draws a lot of inspiration, it seems, from much scarier, more modern, less campy, like actually really scary games like Amnesia and Outlast and other games that I am not a huge fan of because I don't like most horror games. I have a special exception for some Silent Hill games and a very special exception for the survival horror games that were really, probably they could use a different title, like survival action, or I mean like Resident Evil 4 or Dead Space. Like those kind of games where they're not actually that scary because your character, you have so many ways to demonstrate your competency and overcome the situation.
They don't make you feel helpless and afraid.
This game, Resident Evil 7, does exactly that. So I'm gonna spoil something for the game for everyone. So if you're not familiar with it, skip this part. There is a part in Resident Evil 7, probably like in the first, what's supposed to be like the first 40 minutes, where a character that you're supposed to be looking for, you find her, and then she winds up being some sort of, whatever the Resident Evil 7 equivalent is of a zombie.
Oh yeah.
They're much more intimidating than just the usual Resident Evil zombies, though, because she like flits back and forth between being a normal person and a gruesome monstrosity.
So it's like a flicker effect?
What do you mean?
Like tick, 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 tick.
No, like Jekyll and Hyde.
Oh.
She, is it Jekyll?
Jekyll.
Yeah. Sorry, I thought it was. I often say Jekyll and Hyde.
Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Right. So she will Jekyll and Hyde back and forth between being this woman that your character is supposed to be either engaged with, right, romantically. I can't remember to what degree.
Yeah.
There is an extended, brutal, disgusting knife fight that you experience in VR if you're playing it in VR, because even if you're not playing the game in VR, it's still first person.
Yeah.
So sorry, I misspoke before because I'm getting antsy just thinking about it, right?
Yeah.
So even if you are not playing it in VR, you're still experiencing it from a first person's perspective. And there's just this weird escalation that centers around your character's left hand. Because she attacks you, I think, just with a kitchen knife, and your arm gets all sliced up, and then you fend her off, and then she attacks you again, and then you get stabbed through the palm with the kitchen knife, and it lingers on it, presumably for anyone that has the misfortune of playing it in VR.
Yeah.
Excuse me? Oh. Okay. And then, a few minutes later, she attacks you again with a screwdriver, and she winds up pinning your hand to a wall with the screwdriver, and then she pulls a Resident Evil 4 and comes back with like a miniature chainsaw, and she thwaps your arm off, like at the wrist. And I'm gonna be really specific. Oh no, we can't cut it off here. Making the best of a bad situation. I'm gonna finish talking about this, and then we're gonna move on from this horrible subject and hopefully never talk about it again. For such a traumatic scenario, there was only one group of people that I would trust to guide me through it, and it was the Game Grumps.
Yeah.
So I was watching them play this, and Egoraptor, I think that he seemed to be in pretty earnest agony about it. Like, he was very unhappy doing this, and I was unhappy watching it. I've resolved to not watch any further. I mean...
That's how they open. Where is the escalation going to go?
Well, I imagine, because you're... Whoa, that's excessive. My imagined... sorry, I'm getting so flustered thinking about this, because it was really gruesome, right? It was a very gruesome use of VR, and I'm worried it's gonna kill someone. I'm worried that VR is going to get a bad rap because somebody's gonna die, because someone with a heart condition is gonna play this.
And, like, get so stressed out.
Scared to death. I'm worried that someone is actually going to get scared to death.
No. I just wanted to paint pretty colors.
I know,
three-dimensional
right?
space. No, and I said just wanted to paint, but that's not completely true. I also want a robot fighting. I want to be a robot.
That's what I was gonna say,
I want a giant mecha. I want to be able to sit in a chair. Well, this is what I wanted from the Kinect, too. I wanted to be able to sit in a giant fighting robot and use my hands to press the buttons in the giant fighting robot cockpit and feel all jacked in like Neo and be excited about the whole thing and go stomp around saving whatever needed saving and defending the universe and, you know, hanging with my pally dance.
And not getting stabbed and then severed.
Yes, I don't...
God.
Yeah, I mean, that just makes me question the use of violence in entertainment. That's what it makes me do.
Oh boy, okay.
You know? It's
So-
just like, violence is a part of life, so we should include it in an art, because art is supposed to be a reflection of life, but at the same time, it's like, ew, 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 ew.
What I'm afraid of is that this is going to be a big success, and then everybody's going to be like, if we want our VR experience to be successful, somebody's got to get something cut off.
Ugh.
And that's just going to be like the first trend in VR.
Yeah,
is,
like waist-high walls.
Yes. What if limb severage from a first-person perspective in VR becomes the waist-high wall of this generation of games?
Well, I'm sure that there are lots of wonderful designers with a bunch of ideas that will make waist-high walls different.
Now let us never speak of this subject again until we're either proven right or proven wrong.
Deal.
Never gonna forget that time that Egoraptor let one of his arms get cut off for me.
Did you really Real solid.
It was a real good move of him, because he thought that it's something that I wanted, but I thought it was something I wanted. I thought I wanted to see Resident Evil 7,